Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Soul Whispers, coming home to you. This is episode 2, the seed you just planted, tending what is beginning to grow. I am so glad you returned, and if this is your first time here, welcome. You are exactly where you are meant to be. Take one breath with me right now, breathe in, and just let yourself arrive. Now, if you were here last Sunday, something happened in you this week, something quiet and perhaps barely visible yet, but real. You planted a seed under the new moon in Pisces, whether you did so consciously with an intention or simply by showing up and allowing yourself to listen. Something in you opened, something new was planted. Today, we tend to it. We don't dig it up to see if it has sprouted yet. We don't compare it to anyone else's garden. We simply bring it water and warmth. And the most powerful thing a newly planted seed can receive is our attention and our patience and our belief that it is already quietly growing. The seed doesn't push itself to grow. It simply receives what it needs. And it trusts the process that has always known what to do. This is what we're doing today. We're receiving, we're trusting, and tending the beginning of something that is entirely and beautifully yours. My name is Susan. I'm a certified somatic trauma-informed coach, and you'll find the rest of my credentials in the show notes below. But more important than any certificate on my wall, I am someone who spent nearly 40 years finding her own way back to herself. I know what it is to be so far from who you are that you've forgotten you were ever anyone else. And I know what it feels like to take that first terrifying step. I don't guide you from a place of theory. I guide you from a place of having walked this road and found that it does lead somewhere beautiful. I want to tell you something about what the first days looked like after I left. Because I think if you are somewhere in the middle of your own beginning right now, or if you're still gathering the courage for it, you deserve to know the truth of it. Not the version where it unfolds beautifully, but the real version. When I finally left, after nearly 40 years, I stepped into a silence I didn't know what to do with. There was no map, no guidebook for becoming yourself at an age when most people have been themselves for decades. The person who had been at the center of my entire identity, my entire adult life, was behind me. And ahead of me was something I can only describe as vast and terrifying and completely unknown. I remember sitting in rooms and not knowing how to occupy them, waking up in the morning and feeling the absence of the familiar weight of the life I had known, even the parts of that life that had hurt me. Even those were familiar. And familiar, even when it's painful, has a certain gravity to it. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between familiar and safe. It simply knows this is what I know and this is not. Freedom at first doesn't really feel like freedom. It feels like being untethered from everything you have ever known, almost like you're floating in open water without being sure which direction you're heading. And here's the part that no one prepares you for. The part that made me feel in those early weeks like something was deeply wrong with me. I missed him. I missed the life, even the painful parts of it. My body kept listening for the sound of his key in the door. My nervous system kept bracing for something to explode, and when nothing did, it didn't relax. Instead, it got more anxious. Because the eggshells that I had been walking on for so long, for decades, they were gone. And my body did not know what to do with ground that was simply solid, that was still, that was safe. It all felt really strange, and the quiet felt wrong. And then I began to feel ashamed of that because I was the one who had left. I was supposed to feel free. Instead, I felt restless and hollowed out in a way I could not explain. So I want to explain why that happens. Because if you are there right now, or if you have been there, I need you to understand that it is not weakness. It is not confusion. It is not a sign that you made the wrong choice. It is your brain doing exactly what it was conditioned to do over years and years of something called intermittent reinforcement. When love is consistent, when it is steady and reliable and safe, the brain receives it as warmth and it settles. But when love is unpredictable, when it arrives in beautiful, intoxicating moments and then withdraws just as suddenly, the brain does something very different. It releases dopamine, not in response to the love itself, but in response to the possibility of it, the not knowing, the waiting, the anticipation, the moment when the warmth finally returns after the cold. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive, the same mechanism that keeps someone pulling the lever of a slot machine long after the money's gone. And it's not because the wins are frequent, but because they are just frequent enough to keep the hope alive. And hope, neurologically, is one of the most powerful forces the brain can generate. In a relationship built on intermittent reinforcement, where the love came in breathtaking bursts between the anger and the coldness and the indifference, my brain learned to crave those bursts with everything it had, those breadcrumbs of love, the moments of tenderness after the storm. The way he would look at me sometimes, it made me feel like I was the only person in his world. My brain would light up for moments in a way it never could for something steady and reliable, because it had been trained over years to associate love with the survival of uncertainty. And that is what we call a trauma bond. And leaving the person does not dissolve it overnight. The body and the mind will continue to reach for what they were trained to reach for, even when the mind knows clearly that reaching is no longer the answer. So when the quiet arrived after I left, when there was no storm to brace for and no eggshells to navigate and no breadcrumbs to wait for, my nervous system didn't celebrate. It went looking. Where is the familiar tension? Where is the relief that follows the explosion? Where are the signs that tell me what's coming next? It wasn't looking for him. It was looking for what it had always known. And what it had always known was no longer there. If you recognize this, if the quiet feels dangerous, or if the calm feels suspicious, if some part of you is still listening for the sound of something about to break, please hear me. That is not a flaw in you. That is a brain that was doing its very best to keep you alive in an environment that was unpredictable. And now that the environment has changed, the brain needs time to learn that the new quiet is not the silence before the storm. It is simply peace, and you are allowed to rest in it. We will go much deeper into trauma bonds in a future episode because this topic deserves its own full, tender exploration. But for now, I simply want you to know, if you are in the disorientation of early freedom, you're not broken. You are a brain and a body learning for the very first time that safety is allowed to feel like this. There were days I doubted everything. Days the voice in my head the one that had learned to manage, to pretend, to hold it all together, turned on me. Who do you think you are? What made you think you could do this? You don't even know who you are without him. What I want you to know about those days, about those voices, about the doubt that arrives in the early hours of your becoming, those voices were not telling me the truth. They were telling me what fear sounds like when it has run out of other things to say. What carried me through was not certainty. I didn't have certainty. I had something smaller and more stubborn than certainty. I had a whisper. That same whisper that has been there all along. Quieter, steadier now, saying, keep going, keep going. Not because you know how, but because the woman you are becoming is on the other side of this, and she has been waiting long enough. You do not need to know how. You just need to keep going toward her. The seed does not know when it's planted exactly how it will grow. It doesn't need to. It simply reaches upward, always upward toward the light, and so do you. So let's talk about the new moon in Pisces that arrived on March 18th, and whether you set a conscious intention that evening or simply felt the quiet shift of something new beginning. That energy is still alive in you this week. In the days immediately following a new moon, we are in what astrologers call the crescent phase, the very first sliver of new lunar light beginning to appear. This is one of the most tender and powerful moments in the lunar cycle. The seed has been planted, the soil is warm, the first fragile roots are taking hold in the dark, where no one can see them yet, but they're there. Pisces, as we explored last week, is a sign of surrender, intuition, and spiritual depth. The seeds planted under a Pisces new moon are not seeds of ambition or strategy. They are seeds of feeling, of opening, of allowing yourself to be guided by something deeper than the rational mind. If your intention last week was something like, I am ready to hear my own whisper, or I am willing to come back to myself, or simply I'm open to receive the blessings in my life, then that is the seed growing in you right now. You may not feel it yet. Seeds really announce themselves, but they're growing. Trust the dark. This is where the growing happens, in the quiet, invisible, faithful underground of becoming. Now on Friday, March 20th, Mercury turned direct after nearly a month of retrograde motion in Pisces. The planet of communication, thought, and inner processing has resumed its forward movement. If you felt confused, foggy, or uncertain over the past few weeks, that was not you falling apart. That was Mercury in Pisces doing exactly what it was designed to do. Dissolving the boundary between conscious and unconscious, slowing the mind so the heart could be heard. And now, as Mercury moves direct, what was stirred during the retrograde begins to settle into clarity. So pay attention this week. Something that felt murky may begin to crystallize. A knowing that arrived during the retrograde, perhaps quietly and even uncomfortably, is now ready to be acted upon. Mercury's gift, delivered through the heart of Pisces, is now moving forward in you. The sun moved into Aries on the same day that Mercury turned direct, which we call the spring equinox. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, the spark before the flame, the moment before the story begins. It carries the energy of initiation, identity, and the courage to begin. After the deep, surrendered inward energy of Pisces, Aries arrives like the first green shoot pushing through the soil, and it says, now we begin to move. Now we begin to become. You planted your seed in Pisces, in the surrender and the depth and the letting go. Now Aries begins to give that seed direction, purpose, forward momentum, not urgency. There's no rush, but a gentle gathering energy that says, you are no longer simply waiting. You're growing. The 1 of this universal year calls you into your new self. The 4 of this universal month gives you the ground to stand on. And the Aries spark says, begin. Begin now. Begin as you are. And last week we talked about the whisper, the soul whisper that has never left you, that has been speaking beneath the noise of your life, patient, persistent, waiting for you to be still enough to hear it. This week we tend what that whisper planted, because here is something I want you to understand about seeds and beginnings and new chapters. They require a particular kind of tending that is different from what most of us were taught. Most of us were taught that if we wanted something to grow, we needed to work harder, push more, do more, produce visible results quickly, or we were failing. But seeds, they don't grow that way. And you know what? You don't either. The most important thing a seed needs in its earliest days, it's not force, it's not pressure, it's not performance, it's 3 very quiet things. Think of them as warmth, water, and time. So warmth would be your compassion for yourself as you begin, the willingness to be gentle with the fragile new thing that is emerging in you, rather than demanding it be fully formed before it has had a chance to take root. And water can be your attention, not anxious scrutiny, but loving awareness. Noticing what it's stirring in you, tending it with curiosity instead of judgment. In time, the hardest one for most of us is the willingness to trust that what is growing in you is growing at exactly the right pace. You're not behind, and that becoming does not have a deadline. I want you to remember that. You are never behind. You never have been, because you are precisely where your becoming needs you to be right now. And there is also something I want to name, because I know it lives in many of the women who find their way into this space. And that's called doubt. It arrives almost always in the early days of something new. Just when you have dared to plant a seed, when you have whispered yes to something tender and true, the doubt shows up. And sometimes it sounds like your own voice. Sometimes it sounds like voices you absorbed long ago. But it says the same things. This won't work. Who do you think you are? It's too late. You've tried this before. I want you to hear this clearly, my friend. Doubt is not evidence. Doubt is what happens when a very old part of you, the part that learned to survive by being cautious, by not hoping too much, by not reaching too far, when it feels the change in the air and it tries to protect you from disappointment by stopping you before you begin. That part of you, it's not wrong to try. It has been keeping you safe in the only way it knew how. But it is working with very old information. And the woman you are becoming, it has newer, truer information. She knows that the things worth growing require exactly this, the willingness to tend them even when they are not yet visible. Especially then. Tend the seed anyway, especially on the days you can't yet see it growing. Those are the days the roots go deepest. I want to speak directly to the part of you that is not sure this is working. The part that listened last week or this week and felt something, and then spent the days in between wondering, is this real? If you are real, if the version of yourself you're trying to become is real, or just a beautiful story and fantasy that you're telling yourself just to get through, I want to tell you it is real. And I really need you to hear that. Not a platitude, not as a kind of thing people say to make you feel better in the moment and it means nothing by Tuesday. As a truth I have lived from the inside. I was exactly where you are, standing at the very beginning of myself, not knowing if the ground would hold, not knowing if the woman I was reaching toward actually existed anywhere outside my imagination, doubting and stumbling, some days sitting down in the middle of the path and being absolutely certain I made a terrible mistake. And she was real. She was there the entire time, not waiting to be created, waiting to be remembered, waiting for me to clear enough space in my life for her to finally, slowly, steadily emerge. And she's waiting in you too. She has always been there. And every time you return here, every Sunday you show up for yourself, every time you choose your own becoming over the old familiar noise, you clear a little more space for her. You are not building someone new. You are remembering someone ancient. She has been inside you the entire time. The seed you planted, even if you don't know exactly what it was, even if it was just a vague, trembling yes of something you couldn't even name yet, that seed is the oldest, truest part of you reaching towards the surface. So give it light, give it time, give it one thing it needs most of all: your belief. You don't need to be filled with certainty. You don't need to know how. You don't need to have it all figured out before you begin. You only need to believe, even slightly, even on the hard days, that the woman you are becoming is worth tending to, because she is. She always has been, and she always will be. So let's do a little somatic practice if that feels right for you. And we'll do this before our meditation because I want to invite your body into this practice in a very specific way. Because today's somatic work is about learning to offer yourself the very thing that a newly planted seed needs most: warmth from the inside out. So find a comfortable position, whether you're seated or lying down, however you feel most held right now. And please just allow yourself to relax and be in this space and honor time for you. You deserve it. And take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and a longer exhale, gentle breath out through your mouth. Let your body know that for the next few minutes, nothing is required of you except to receive. Now, if it feels comfortable, go ahead and place one hand or both over your heart. Allow yourself to feel the warmth traveling from your palms into your chest. Your hands carry your own warmth, a warmth that has been there your entire life, that has held your children, your pets, touched the people you love, done the work of caring for others, and now it's turned toward you. Feel your heartbeat beneath your palms. Steady and faithful, tireless, it has never asked you to be more than you are. It has simply kept going. Through every storm, every loss, every beginning, without being asked, without needing to be thanked. This heart has survived everything your life has brought. And it's still there, beating, still carrying you towards something. So trust it. And with your hand on your heart, bring to mind the seed you planted this past week. Your intention. And if you didn't last week, go ahead and plant that seed now. What is your intention? What is it you want in your life? Your whisper, your gentle yes. You don't even need to see it clearly. Just sense it. Feel for it the way you would feel for something small and precious in a dark room. With gentleness, without grabbing it. Just be calm and gentle. And as you breathe in, imagine warmth gathering in your chest in the place where your hand rests. And as you breathe out, imagine that warmth flowing downward into the earth of you, reaching toward that seed. In, warmth gathers. Out, warmth reaches the seed. Breathing in, warmth gathers. Breathing out, the seed receives it. Now, when you feel ready, and only when you feel ready, speak these words to yourself silently or out loud, whatever feels safe for you right now. I am allowed to begin. I am allowed to be where I am. I am allowed to grow at my own pace. I tend this seed with love. And love is enough. And breathe. Let those words land wherever they need to land. If they bring up emotion, just let that emotion move through you. Don't bury it. Let it raise to the surface and just release it through a breath. Shake it off. It's not weakness. That is the seed responding to the warmth. Now let's begin your guided meditation. Find your position. Let the surface beneath you hold your full weight. You don't have to hold anything up right now. Let yourself be held. Taking a breath in through your nose, holding for the count of 2, 1, releasing through your mouth for 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, breathe in through your nose. And as you let that breath out of your mouth, let yourself just sigh. Feel your body begin to soften just slightly. As you give your nervous system permission to stop racing, just for this time, just for now. You are safe, you are here. Nothing is required of you except to receive. Now bring your awareness to your jaw. Let it soften, releasing the words you held back this week, the ones that weren't yet ready, the ones that are still forming. They will find their way. So let your jaw rest. Bringing your awareness to your shoulders now, letting them drop as you continue to release what you've been carrying. As your body continues to learn that it doesn't have to hold everything alone. Now bring your awareness to your hands and open them gently, palms upward. This is a gesture of receiving. Let your body take that posture now, open, available, receptive. Now bring one hand or both to rest over your heart. This is your anchor, your signal to the nervous system that you're safe, that you are here, that you are home. Now I want to invite you somewhere. Imagine a beautiful garden, not a grand or formal garden, something simpler than that. A quiet plot of earth that belongs entirely to you. No one else tends it. No one else decides what grows here. It is yours alone. The soil is dark and rich and warm. It has been waiting for exactly what you are about to bring to it. And in the center of this garden, just barely visible if you look closely, is the first fragile evidence of what you've planted this week. A tiny green shoot, perhaps, or just a slight swelling of the soil where something below is beginning to move upward. Small and tender and entirely real. and you kneel beside it. And you feel as you continue to come home to yourself, as this part of you continues to grow, what it is to tend something that belongs to your becoming. Not to push it, not to demand it be more than it is, but simply to be present with it, just to witness it, to say, I see you, and I believe in what you are becoming. Now, in a moment, I want you to notice something. As you kneel beside your seed, as you look at this tender beginning thing, there may be a voice. It arrives almost every time something new is growing. And it says, this is too small. This won't be enough. You've tried this before. Now notice that voice without following it. It is not your truth. It is your history, your past. It is the voice of every time something tender was dismissed before it had a chance to grow. Take a breath and return to the seed. The seed is not interested in the voice. The seed is only interested in growing toward the light, and so are you. Now, with both hands, imagine holding something small and warm, your intention, your whisper, your tender beginning yes. Feel it in your palms. Give it quality, a warmth, perhaps a color, a gentle pulse of aliveness. This is your anchor every time this week that you feel any doubt or fear or the pull back toward the familiar. You will bring your hands to your heart and you will remember this beautiful feeling of holding this intention in your hand. You'll feel the warmth and you'll see the beautiful color. Your nervous system is learning it right now and it will remember. And breathe. Now let yourself travel forward. Not years from now, just maybe about 6 weeks. 6 Sundays of showing up for yourself. 6 weeks of tending this seed with the warmth and the patience of someone who has decided fully to believe in her own becoming. Imagine yourself in that moment, 6 weeks from now. Where are you? What does the air feel like? Notice your body. Notice that something has shifted. A steadiness in your chest that wasn't there before. A quiet knowing that you are no longer quite who you were. And in the soil, you can see the shoot has broken through the surface. The first green leaves are unfurling, and you are the one who tended it through the invisible days. You're already doing it. And as you continue to return here, as you continue to choose yourself, as your becoming continues to deepen, this is already happening right now in the invisible underground of you. Now, with your hand on your heart and your mind open and receptive, let these words settle into you like rain settling into the warm earth. As you continue to tend yourself with compassion, as your roots continue to deepen in the quiet, as the woman you are becoming continues to grow toward the light, as you continue to believe in what is growing in you, even on the days you cannot yet see it, you are already home. You are already home. Let those words land, not in your mind, but in your body, in the cells, in the bones, and your breath. They are already true. And breathe. Now slowly and gently begin to feel the weight of your body returning to the surface beneath you, the room around you, the space around you, your breath moving in and out on its own. Feel your hands over your heart one final time. You return to yourself. Anytime, anywhere, in any moment this week that asks more of you than you feel you have, you will bring your hands over your heart and you'll remember the seed you planted, and remember that you have already chosen to tend to it. Now take one final breath in and out with a sigh. And when you're ready, wiggle your fingers and toes. Take your time returning. There's no rush back to the world. And as you open your eyes slowly and gently, carry the garden with you. It goes wherever you go. You are its keeper. And everything that is growing in it is growing because you showed up. Now take a moment before you return to your day. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel your own heartbeat. You came here today again, and that's not a small thing. Every time you return, you are sending yourself a message. The message is, I believe in what is growing in me. I am worth tending. Hold on to that today and tomorrow, and especially on the days when the doubt is louder than the whisper. The doubt is not the truth. The seed is the truth, and it's growing. You are not who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be. This is Soul Whispers coming home to you. And you, beautiful, brave, tenderly beginning soul, you are already home. If today's episode stirred something in you, if you felt the seed move, I warmly invite you to subscribe so you never miss a Sunday. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you feel called to go deeper in your healing journey, the link below will tell you more about how we can work together. No pressure, just an open door. And please give this a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And leave a comment and let me know how you're doing. We gather as Aries season fully ignites next Sunday. And Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the spark before the flame, is asking you something that goes deeper than last week's question. Last week we asked, who are you becoming? Next week we go further. We ask, what did you lose your voice for? And how do you find it again? The voice that went quiet to keep the peace, to keep someone from leaving, to keep yourself safe. Next Sunday, we reclaim it. So until then, be gentle with yourself and tend to your seed. You're already home. Love and hugs. Till next week.